What if the healing you've been searching for has been hiding in the weird? Taking the Weird Out of WOO is a new series that's on a mission to normalize non-traditional therapies and explore healing beyond the mainstream, one episode at a time. Each week, we bring together 3 powerful elements: a skeptic who's open but unsure, an expert who's lived and studied the method, and a real experience that just might change everything. From sound healing to breathwork, energy medicine, and beyond, we're diving into the woo with curiosity, compassion, and a willingness to ask, could this actually help? This isn't just entertainment, it's an invitation to feel, to heal, and to explore what's possible when nothing else has worked. Welcome to Taking the Weird Out of WOO. Let's heal together. I am really excited for today's episode because I really believe that this subject that we're going to be, I'm going to start over again. I'm really excited about today's episode. I believe what we are going to be sharing in this room today can be applied to just about any human, especially in the Western world. Mm-hmm. I believe that what has happened, and you can see this with the rise of technology that we're seeing that is at our fingertips, we are being bombarded by so much information, and I'm not surprised that at the same rate as it's increasing, we're also seeing more dysregulation. We're seeing people that complain about not being able to sleep. We're hearing people who can't digest their food. We're hearing people having unprecedented numbers of panic and anxiety and depression and disconnection. This episode is going to be so potent and so full of wisdom because let me introduce, first of all, our beautiful, wonderful people in this room. We have Dr. Troy Graf, who, how long have you been a doctor, Dr. Troy?
It's 30 years coming up this year.
30 years. Okay. Years of experience, years of research, years of working one-on-one with individuals and watching what works and the healing process. And then, of course, we have 2 individuals that live really busy, wonderfully rich and full lives. And I'll be asking you guys to share that here in just a second. So let's go ahead and start with our expert in this room. The expert, Dr. Troy. Here we go. I would love to hear from you. Like, what got you interested in even going to this field? And then we're going to be talking about lasers today, which is really cool. I do think of Austin Powers every single time I think of lasers. I honestly, I kid you not. I got my shark little thing out and a laser beam. Do you guys remember that part of it? What do I pay you people for? It's so I'm curious because there's a lot of laser technology, but this one's really special and really unique. So as Dr. Troy Graf talks about his journey, then we can just lead right into what we're sharing today.
Love it. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, wow, going way back in time, it's like when I was young, I was very much into competition. So, and Charlie, that doesn't ring a bell at all.
No,
so, not at all. And so, when I was younger, I basically did a lot of track. So I was fast, and so with that, it was like I had the propensity to be injured. So I would do things, and I would do it all out. Because there was some level of ego that I had to actually stroke. And so after a while, it's like as I was growing, muscles grow, I guess, in a way when it's like you can actually have them break bones. They can be so much stronger. So I had multiple different fractures.
I don't have that problem. Do you have that problem?
No.
As a young man, it's like you're trying to find out like what kind of person am I? And so we push ourselves. And so I had multiple injuries through high school. And being competitive, I had my parents that gave me great support, and they would take me to different doctors, and so I would do physical therapy, and I would do different forms of adjustments from chiropractors, and with that, it was able to keep me to where I was able to be competitive. But I had injuries that I didn't really address properly, and so they became chronic. And the chronic irritation wasn't so much pain, but it was like if I overwhelmed my body's ability to really like regenerate, then it would be like it would start to ball up and it would start to give me dysfunction where it's like I can't, maybe in the weight room, I can't go through ranges of motion. It start to feel weird. And so it's like that would be frustrating because when you're 18, you're supposed to be like, you know, totally in your prime. And so looking around, I'm like, you know what, I want to be able to compete. And I was on the track team at the university. And it's just like, and so there's all this constant, where am I? Where's my level? And so it's the constant like comparison. And so, you know, and that's like really stressful because every week you're kind of like, am I going to be running in this next one or am I not good enough? It's the, am I good enough? Does that make sense? So the comparison thing was a big deal, and it was like there couldn't be only one winner, and it's just like in a way it's like it messes with your brain, right? And so with that, there's like even if you do have victory, then it's like, well, I'm number one today, but tomorrow's a new day, and so you know, and maybe I won't even be able to perform. And so I had 1 year where we were on the track team, and it's just like we were favored to have state, and we beat state the day or the week or the year before, and then I got injured the very first meet, and so I was knocked out, and it was like the worst thing ever. So you know, it's like with things that the body slowing me up, it made it so I was thinking, what can I do to be like hyper performing? Because with that is your ego and your reputation and your identity. And so I was into identity big time when I was back in high school because it was like that's how you made a name for yourself. Does that make sense? So it's like going to school, I'm like, I don't know what I'm good at because it wasn't school. It was like, because it was a matter of, I'm going to do athletics and I'm not really that smart. And so I
was a B student. I was a B student barely, and I was benched for most of my dance performances because of bad behavior at school.
There you go.
It's true.
Yeah.
I don't know why this mouth has gotten me in trouble for many, many years. And now I get paid for it.
Now you get paid for
so
it.
you know what,
Yeah.
school teachers, bite it.
So in a way, it's just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to school because that's what you're supposed to do. And so I'm like doing general education, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to be good at, but my parents want me to go to school, and maybe something will happen, and I'll figure out life. And so, you know, I met my special person, and we got married, and it was like, at that point, it's like, okay, now I'm responsible for somebody else, and I need to make sure that I get going. And at that point, I had had some injuries again, and I thought, you know, I like healthcare, and if I can do something in healthcare that keeps me finely tuned, maybe I'll be a physical therapist. That'd be kind of cool. And I had a brother who was an optometrist. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool, but I don't know. That's not going to help me with my performance. And so, you know, it's like, but I kind of like healthcare. And so, anyway, I had another injury, and it was a chiropractor that helped me. So I thought, well, that's pretty nice. I could do something because he got me to where I could perform again. And it's like in the healthcare field. So I went that direction. And so when I was in chiropractic school, then I had another injury. And so, and I had all these people working on me, and I kept having the injury, and it never got better. And so I had a person that I was studying with, and he said, you need to have my dad work on you, because he's a special type of doctor. I'm like, whatever, I just need to have something happen. And so he was a kinesiologist, and it had to do with biofeedback muscle testing, if you're familiar with that. And so he found out right away that my injury wasn't where it was hurting my low back, that's where it felt, but he said, there's something with your ankle, and he found that out in like 30 seconds. And I'd had all these other doctors working on me and like helping me and working on my back, and it was like always a problem. And here I am in the mecca of low back pain rectification, where they should be able to take care of it, and it's like not working. I'm in school and it's affecting my studies. And so I thought, if this guy can figure me out in like a 30 seconds, whatever it is I want to do. And so that's the introduction of the body has an intelligence, and if you know how to ask a question, then you can get an answer. And so, and that was the beginning of, I wonder what else you can find out from the body. So that was my studying. As I was going through school, there was a concurrent study that I did. It was like postgraduate things that I would go to seminars on the weekend, and there would be only doctors there. And I started learning much more about that there's like a language that you can tap into. Obviously there's many languages that we have on the planet, right? And so there's more than one way to get information from the body. But I thought, if I can just master one, that's good. Then I can be a good provider for my family, and it'll be fun, and because fun was a big deal for me, because it's like in sports, it's got to be fun, otherwise I don't want to do it.
If it ain't fun, it ain't done.
Yeah, seriously.
That's my
And that was a big part of what I wanted to do as a profession. I didn't want to do something that was boring. So being a doctor, I thought, well, that would be great, because each time a person would come in, it would be like a new challenge. And it'd be like, okay, what can we do? And it was like a detective. So it's like with Sherlock Holmes and Watson, we're going to figure stuff out. And that was like intriguing to me. And so as I kind of went through my scholastic, my education, then I took it much more serious. And so I graduated with honors, and I was like, I'm going to make sure I'm the best doctor ever. Because it's like, if I know more, then there is nothing that's going to like go over my head, because I'll figure everything out. So it's very egotistical, right? and it was that same competition. So I was like, in a way, I was competing with life. And I was like, okay, I want to actually be the best that I could be, and then I'll like not have to actually compete with anybody, because then I'll be totally unique. So if it was different, then I'm like, sign me up. If it was like pretty much the same that everybody else was learning, I'm like, no, I don't want to learn that. So if it was different, I kind of went into there must be something there. But I would do some level of, I need to make sure that it is consistently something that can deliver. It's different, but it's got to be something that I can bank on, so I know I can win. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Wow. I can win.
Winning in life, like
winning.
Competing.
That was that big deal.
Pushing.
That was my motivation.
Wow. But it's interesting that life kept giving you an opportunity to get injured.
Yeah.
Right?
Well
this led
spoken,
you.
well said.
Our bodies are brilliant. Our bodies will give us the messages if we won't pick up on it.
Yeah.
If we're not being willing to expand our mind to actually see, maybe I already won at life. Maybe I don't need to earn winning. Maybe I've already won. What if I already won?
Oh, I didn't figure it out for a long
okay.
time.
You're like, no.
That's way later.
Yours.
That's a few decades later.
That's yours. Yeah, no, that I think that comes, for most of us, it comes way later, because we kind of get bitch slapped by life,
Man.
and then we finally go, maybe I should stop doing the same thing that I keep doing, right?
Right.
But yeah, so that's amazing. So here you are.
So
wanting to be the best.
Wanting to be the best. So in a way, it's like that's what motivated me, is to find out what is something that maybe isn't common in the U.S. That I could then like introduce to people. And it would be something in Europe or in maybe an Asian country, and that it would be unique enough that I could then say, this has been done for maybe thousands of years. Or something that's been well documented somewhere else. You just haven't heard of it, but it's because we're in the United States, and it's like our country's only a little bit old. and oftentimes what I was basically up against is that individuals would come to me after a while, and I had a reputation at that point, and they'd say, my body's not working, and I've tried everything. And I'd be like, oh yeah, no, you haven't tried everything. And that's the kind of the thing, is that my dilemma is how do I then explain to people that it's like, this is something that's unique and it will work if you can engage, but I need you to play full out. Just like any sport, I can't do it for you. I can't run the race for you, but I can teach you how to win. But it's a level of, we need to make it so that you have a winning attitude, and that's necessary for you to understand that life literally is a game, and if you don't know the rules, then you're going to be playing like with one arm tied behind your back, or like you're blindfolded or whatever, and then we'll never win. And so what can we do to make it so that we can kind of take the blindfold and take it off even a little bit? We'll make it so that you can then perform. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so much of it is like, how can I make it so that I am not preachy, but I'm literally inspiring someone to be able to go, here's some sources, go listen to this on an Audible. And then, if they did, then it'd be like, cool. Now I have a person that was literally, we're halfway there. Because if you now are participating in your own challenges, and it's like your body, in a way, it's like it'll fix itself. It's programmed to self-heal and self-regulate. It's programmed to do this. It's just that you haven't known, and so you've been participating with a totally different philosophy that has to do with outside in instead of inside out. So in sports, there's only like so much that they can do outside in, because it has to do with don't give up is one of the things. Have a good expectation of an outcome can be different. Every play matters. Every point matters. And if you like focus on excellence, then there can be a different outcome. So in the beginning, I was focusing on perfection, and it was demoralizing because it's like, dang it. I mean, I messed up that one time. And people would go like, yeah, but you did great for like everything. No, it's like I'm focusing on the wrong thing. And that was an issue that I had personally in my life, is that it's like I'm like thinking even in a way of how I was raised, and it's everything. It's family, so we have like, what is it that we're expected to do in our family? What is it with social or society? What is it that they expect? If there's religion, there's a religious expectation. If it's politics, there's political expectation. You know what I'm saying? It's like all this stuff that gives us a culture. And so we have like these different cultures and how they mishmash together. And it's just like, however we show up is oftentimes how we engage with parents and how we fit in to our like little dynamic, our tribe. So our tribe kind of like sets things up with our health. So, because I'm coming at it from health only at this point. So in my life, it's just like, okay, why is it that they're not getting well? Because I did everything the same as this other person, and it's like, and they're half their age, and it's like, this person should get well. And so it started making me go, there's more to this thing with health. Why is it that it's like I can pretty much bank on these 8 people, they got great results. These 2 others that I would have like totally banked on, nothing. Or they go forward and then back, forward and back. They oscillate. Why? What's the deal with that? They didn't teach us that in school. And so it's kind of the, as a detective, as a doctor, we're meant to be like, in a way, objective. And it's like always looking for what else that we can't see, and what else is it that could be a variation, a variable that is unique to this person. It's not that we're all robots and we'll respond the same way. And that's the one thing that I find in our current healthcare system, is that it's like, just do this, and it's like this is the one treatment and the only thing that will help you with your diagnosis. So in a way, a diagnosis is an identity. And I find that the diagnosis oftentimes inhibits the patient from actually having a result.
Right. Mic drop.
Right.
Yeah, I recognize this. I was given many diagnoses over the last 10 years. And in order for me to actually heal, I had to put those diagnoses aside and believe that that was not me. Right. That I was this healed version, that did not define me. And that's, here I am with overall very good health, overall very good vibrancy. So I understand what you're saying. Those diagnoses can sometimes be very inhibiting. Right?
So with that being the case, most of us show up with a diagnosis. We've been told something in the past, and as we buy into that, I kind of see it as we weave it into our existing existing identities. So that I explained before, where we have, where do we fit in our tribe? Our this is me, and so we have the I am statements in our mind. I am this, and then it's like your body adapts to that. Whatever you believe, then in a way you find a way to endorse or enhance or live up to, because there's a level of, if that's what you're going to declare, then there's almost an ethical thing as I have to be that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And there's a level of expectation that sometimes we don't have maybe on ourselves, but eventually we do, because we perceive that my parents expect this. And to be a good son or a good daughter, this is what I'm meant to do. And it's like we echo all of that over a period of time until we literally like endorse it. It becomes a part of us in our heart.
Yes. And I think this is a great segue, this I am. Before we even go into a little bit about what the experience will be here, what you're going to be sharing, the technology, I want to know what I am is. Who is Charlie, right? Who is this version that you believe you are right now? Because I think that is a beautiful way to then come back to Dr. Troy, and he's going to guide you. And we're also going to be talking about, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go from here? Do you want to keep doing the same I am? Do you still want to live this exact same duplication over and over and over, different day, Groundhog's Day? or do you want a different I am? Charlie, I've known you for a little while.
Yeah.
I'm really good friends with your wife, too, who's just amazing and just a light. Charlie, one of the things that I've always noticed with you is you always have a smile.
Yes,
You
I
are
do.
always positive. You are always laughing.
Yeah.
You are always just so upbeat. You recently went and ventured into being living this life of entrepreneurship,
Yep.
opening 2 restaurants, not just one,
I know.
2.
Crazy.
2 restaurants.
Yes.
And so I would love for you to just go through this. I am. Who is Charlie? I am.
Great question. And for whatever reason, when Troy first brought up the I am statement, and I wouldn't picture myself this way, but what shouted in my brain was broken. And that's not who I see myself as, but I think that's where, over the past several months, as my brain has just been on overload and overdrive, I've come to the point where I think you even asked me a question recently when we got together, and I said to you, I don't even feel like I'm living my life right now. I kind of just show up and I go through the motions, and I do have a smile on my face because that's my natural setback, is just to kind of hide, when I am broken. And for me right now, it's I related to a lot of what you were saying. I can't sleep at night, and even sometimes at night, I'll take something to try to, a NyQuil to just put me to sleep and try to sleep, and I'll get up in the middle of the night. And I used to be so great about even saying my prayers, but I wake up in the morning and I start saying my prayer. 5 seconds into it, my brain is like, you don't have time for this. And I end my prayer and I get up and I go about my day. And currently right now in my life, I don't feel like I'm connecting with my family. And it's like a vicious cycle, right? It's like, you could be a better dad. And then I beat myself up, but, because I'm not connecting with my kids. And my brain is just always on overload. It's just go, 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 go. I always feel like I have so much to do, and I'm always trying to do things. And I guess the word that shouted in my brain was, currently right now, I'm broken. And what's really interesting as I started thinking about doing this segment is recently in my prayer, probably just about 2 weeks ago, I felt so broken. I prayed, like, Heavenly Father, come rescue me, because I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And then this came about. So
You're going to make me cry. Charlie, you are so watched over and so supported, more so than you know. And I think how many of us feel like we're broken, feel like we're trying to outrun our life, because if we can win in something, maybe we can finally feel validation for who we are. Charlie, you are so brave to come right out of the gates and say, I'm broken. Like, that takes so much courage. That takes so much vulnerability. And it takes us being able to witness it and say, because I'm going to tell you, and I think I said this on the last episode, when we bring something out into the light can disband it. But when we hide it and it festers and it starts to take hold of every part of us, then we feel broken, we feel guilty, we feel ashamed. Yeah. And Charlie, my prayer for you is that you witness your greatness again, that you witness that you were never broken. That was just a lie. That was just life, the way that we perceived coming at us, and evidence that we honed in on, that you are so much greater than that. And your prayer was answered because you're here. And now we have this incredible man that has spent 30 years of his life investigating, researching, working with people, listening to people, watching people go up, forward, and back, right? And now he has this to share with both of you. Because I believe that when you rise, I rise. Troy rises. We all rise together. And when you choose you choose everyone. I want you to hear that. When you choose you, you choose everyone, because we get the most vibrant, happy, alive, excited, passionate version of you that truly can connect to me. And I can talk to you, and you can look me in the eye, and you're listening to my words, and then you're responding. I get that version of you. But when you are racing and trying to outwit life, I don't get that from you. I get the tired, weary, exhausted version of you, and so does your family.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so grateful that you chose you. You're here. You're here. And because you chose you, da-da-da, Dr. Troy, Superman of healing.
That's what we're hoping for.
Exactly.
That's pretty funny.
Exactly.
So the thing is just like when we talk about, like when you're saying Superman, so we all have superpowers, but it's kind of interesting. So think about it, is like, what is the thing that makes it so that in even Hollywood, Marvel or DC, all these things that are like really in a way entertaining, and it's like they have superpowers, right? But the thing is so interesting is we all have superpowers. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing I want us to focus on right now, is that the superpower happens when we become vulnerable, when we become real, when we become human. When we, in a way, if you think about humane, when we are humane, it's because we're feelers. When we're beyond feeling, then we become inhumane. And so as we go through life and start realizing, it's like, wow, when I push away feelings, I push away my humanity. I push away my ability to really be in my superpower. And the ability for you to like have lessons learned and be able to have your brain kind of like work through reasoning is a special thing that you get as we mature. And it's like how you feel about that. We go from reaction oftentimes when we are younger, where there's just react. We think thoughts and react. And as with maturing, it's a matter of going, what is it that would be maybe appropriate? And then we try that on. It's like, okay, appropriate is, and then, because we don't know, so we go, okay, showing this emotion. And then sometimes there's rejection. We're like, whoa, I don't want to show any emotion, so I'll bury it. And it's just like, if we show too much, then it's like, oh no, I was the only one that showed emotion. And now, I'm probably the weakest one here. We interpret that it's like that emotions are weak. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so it's like we start getting everything, in my opinion, it starts getting all mixed up. And we're like, I need to think this way. And if I don't, then and then there's a judgment. And if I feel certain things, oh man, bad people feel like that. So I better like make sure I bury that too. And it's like we're hiding our superpowers of humanity, right? Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is that when we really connect with people, what I find is that when we're genuine and authentic, and that's actually one of the things that I test with my patients. And there's a way to actually determine what your level of authenticity and genuine is, and it's all recorded in your unconscious. So we have different consciousnesses. That's kind of a difficult word to say. Consciousness is something. So it's like we kind of have this unconscious, and we have our conscious, and we have our superconscious. So there's a kind of 3 levels, and they're all important. They're not like, none of them are evil or bad, but they all play a role. And the main role, in a way, is to protect you. In the beginning, it's your unconscious is like, we need to protect and make sure you live another day. And so we run these programs that have to do with protection, and we learn what safe and not safe is at a very young age. We observe, and we kind of determine, okay, watching an older brother get punished or penalized for something, and we go, oh, I'm not going to let that happen. And so we learn in our tribe, which is totally fine. And as we go through life, we start going like, I have a desire now, so I'm going to use my ego. I'm going to use my conscious, and I'm going to engage with whatever. And we're aspiring with things that we want to have happen. Awesome. And oftentimes we don't even realize that we have a superconscious. What is that? That, in my opinion, is kind of like your ability to connect to your spirit or your divine or your intuition. Think of it that way. And so as we have each of those honored, the more that we can get out of only surviving, because there's a certain level of necessity. Surviving is important. If you're not around, then the other 2 don't matter.
Right.
Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's like making that, though it's not demonized, but understand that there's a lot that we have that kind of is chattery, that is like, is that my survival part of my nervous system, or is that something that's valid? Does that make sense? Because there's pros and there's negatives with each of these. Same thing as we go to our desires. What is that? Is that going to be honoring in a way? If I'm too altruistic, there's going to be a negative. Is it too narcissistic? There's going to be a negative. And ironically, we're both. Because in a way, the narcissistic part of us has to do with our desire to somehow achieve and to do something for us. This is for me. And if you don't do anything for you and you give everything away, then you will learn a life lesson. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So too much of one, there's a challenge. Too much of the other, there's a challenge. Both of those, again, it's like a double-edged coin, double-edged sword. So it's like understanding that these are things that we can start to actually work on, and that you can do your own work and try to figure out over time, what is it that I have a propensity to do? Do I give away everything and then I'm upset if someone doesn't reciprocate? Or do I do everything selfishly and then again that it's like I'm ostracized because everybody knows I'm in it just for me? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's this like, how do we go through and balance? It's a balancing act. And I think that's a lifelong process. It's okay. The part that we scarcely talk about is our intuition. It's a level of what is intuition? You know, it's like if you break that down, it's like inside. What is it that is like literally a consciousness that in a way, if we only come from our brain and we're trying to be rational and reasonable, is that going to get us where we want to go? If we stay in our head, oftentimes if we stay in our head, we kind of close off the heart. Does that make sense? So it's how can we make it so that we have literally our rational brain, which is good, it's a good thing, and keep our heart open. And that's a hard thing because oftentimes when we have our feelings that get hurt, we're like, oh no, I'm never going to be like showing up with being myself again. No one gets to see the real, you know, Karen. No one gets to see the real Charlie, ever. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then there's levels of, well, maybe I will with my wife. Or maybe I will a little bit with, and so my kids maybe. And so there's like variations. But what's interesting is that what I find is that our weakest relationships, the ones that are the scariest, actually impact all the other relationships. We can't really be genuine if we have unrepaired relationships. I don't know if that makes sense. But it does make it so that there's a part of us that is questioning with that unrepaired relationship of like, yeah, I'm going to have a breakdown in every other thing that I value and I'm going to lose it all. And if I don't push through and actually engage with all of my might, and so we get away from our superconscious and intuition because we feel like we can push it.
Right.
We can make it so that we do the doing.
Right.
So go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask you about, so what I am observing, and please help me know if this is correct scientifically. When we get too much energy up here and we're thinking that's going to help us be safe, we've closed our heart. Now we're closed to intuition, right?
Right.
And that intuition we need in order to move past this, move beyond what they're experiencing in life so they can sleep, they can rest, they can digest, they can do all of those things. And this beautiful modality and practical application that you're going to be showing,
Right.
this tool, these tools, there's
Right.
several tools
Several.
that have been able to assist in helping someone
Right.
get back into this place of regulation.
Right.
Is that right?
So, and we're going to enhance that a little bit. We're going to go more in depth
Ooh,
on what
okay.
you just
All
basically
right,
were
let's
talking
do it.
about. So, which is all true. A part of what we refer to when we're going through an explanation of why is it that we have our body react the way that it's reacting when we have stresses. So if you think about it, we have stress, and there's good stress, because when we stress our body working out, that's a eustress, it's a good stress, and so we basically break down muscle to build more muscle. Kind of cool. Then we have distress or dysfunction, and that would be not helpful stress. And so that's when we go beyond the ability to kind of build, and we break ourselves down faster than we can build up. So there's not like a regenerative, let's say, period of time. So it's like it can start to be like, okay, that's a little stress, that's good. And oh, way chronic, constant, never unremitting. It's just like, it just is constant. And we learn everything that happens around us and how we actually take it in or like integrate it. What do we do with it? These are all questions that I want us to ask and then actually tie in to answers that aren't going to be book answers. They're your own answers. And the more that you're able to define and improve on your questions about life, I find with my patients is that it's like you will get to where you start having more and more of a connection to that superconscious, that intuition, to make it so that like knowledge flows. When we're talking about prayer, oftentimes it's that I'm going to relegate a certain time to connect to divine. And it's like, if I'm doing that, and it's because that's how we've been taught, and so I'm going to definitely make sure that's a priority. I'm going to actually ask a question. What would happen if, and then we change the question, is that if we're having a different way of communicating that's enhanced, doesn't mean we stop what we're doing with prayer, but if we enhance it and we change it a little bit, then it makes it so that we change a variable, and if we have an equation that leads to what we want, I want this, an equal sign, then we change our variables, and we'll eventually get there. And if we're not getting there, then we go back and modify some more variables, and then we start getting closer. As we come from maybe fractions that are multiplied, then that's a big fraction at the end. If we have more whole numbers that are multiplied, then we get a big whole number at the end. Even one fraction out of all these variables will actually make that equation kind of a lot smaller. So what we look at is like, what can we do to make it so there's more wholeness? And it's not perfect, but wholeness that has to do with I feel good in my body, in my life, where I'm at. I feel good. Not perfect, but I feel more whole today than I did yesterday. I feel more intact. And as I multiply those across, then I start feeling the desired life. This is the life I want. It starts being much more intact. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when we talk about like what happens to make it so we're not tied into intuition, it's usually we say there's three brains. So the brain that we know about is here. The second brain is our gut. There's the second brain, there's the enteric nervous system that basically has lots of information that goes up to these other parts of our nervous system that is like what's going on with our gut, and like how does that make it so I feel safe or not. Our heart is the little brain. There's three brains. And our heart, like we talked about, is how we feel, and is it something that we keep open or closed, and that's another big variable. So if we wanted to just do three variables, it's like if I can make it so the three brains are much more intact and whole, then it makes it so that I'm much more me. I'm much more capable of having my body really start doing what it's programmed to do, be amazing, have energy, make it so that it's like, wow, I'm getting control in a way of my pattern or my rhythm. So if we think about it as like you have a rhythm and you have a rhythm, is that working for you right now, your rhythms in life?
No.
His eyes got this.
No.
No.
No, it
it's
used to.
not.
I mean, no, it absolutely not. I consider myself, I love people. I absolutely love people, and I love being around people. And currently right now in my life, I want to isolate. I want to be away, and that's not my rhythm. My rhythm is not working right now, and I want it back.
Awesome. Having the desire and the intention is like the first requirement that we have, that I find, to make an impact. So it's literally a free agency, like this is your freedom. You get to design the life that you would love to have. But oftentimes we don't even take the time to actually ask ourselves that question. So do we want a life that is default or design? A life by design, a life by default. The default oftentimes is what we're experiencing right now when we're feeling out of sync, when we feel like there's not harmony, there's not a rhythm. We don't feel like that our life has any sort of like music to it. There's been times probably in your past where you felt like, I love my life. Whether it's for one day or 1 month or 1 year, whatever it was, there's a period of time that is like, I love this, right?
Yeah, there used to
And
be a
you
time
know
where I
what it
could
feels
read a
like.
book. I can't read a book right now.
Love it. But you know what it felt
Connect
like,
with people. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And that's what brings what? It
Yeah.
brings joy, it brings fulfillment, it brings like this wholeness. Yeah, purpose is great. Purpose and passion. And that's really what we're living for. And oftentimes what happens as we look at society is that the very things that people actually are doing is try to get there in an artificial way. So whether it's with medication or drugs off the street, or there's all kinds of different ways that we basically look for an outside-in quick fix of, can I just have a reprieve? I need a break from this, and I need to have step back in to possibly feel a little bit. I just want a little bit of that feeling again, and I don't know how to sustain it. So holding that space is like beyond our capacity of what I find when my patients first show up. This is like, I don't even know what that looks like. Asking the question, what is it that brings you joy? Maybe they'll have an answer, possibly not. And then the next question is, when's the last time you did that? When's the last time you did it and enjoyed it and gave yourself a reprieve from feeling guilty? Because oftentimes it's the level of, I kind of so feel guilty that I did something for myself. Right? So there's all this stuff that's all self-talk. We were not born with all this self-talk. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I agree.
So think about all of the things that basically when you have this little baby that is like, pristine, brand new, it's like there's not any program that's been put into it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And it's like, as long as there's a level of function, and it's like babies need all kinds of things. They need to be loved on, they need to be taken care of where they're held close, they need to be fed and cleaned and bathed, and you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, if you just do the basics, what happens with babies? They grow up into functional people.
Right?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like, in a way, we look at our children and we go, I just want them to be perfect. Right? As they first are born. It's like, they're so perfect right now. All I can do is mess up. Oh, crap.
You know, it takes a perfect parent to raise perfect children.
And so that's why
I never stood a chance.
Me
And
neither.
never stood a chance.
But that's the thing that we want. As parents, we're like, I just want them to be like everything I'm not. And so we have these desires for them, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But the thing that happens is that obviously we're not perfect. And so we have this intention. And then because usually we're kids having kids, because you know when you're in your 20s, you're like you don't have anything figured out at all. And there's all kinds of other stresses and traumas. And so as we're going through life, it's that we basically go, what is it working? It seems like working for other people, and we adopt other people's habits from other generations. And so it's like we propagate really what has been in a way dysfunctional. And we think it's functional, but were they coming from a point of really fulfilled and really like, how would I say, having a full spectrum of happiness and joy? Does that make sense? Because they probably weren't.
Right.
Yeah.
Full spectrum joy.
About implementing this joy. What are we going to be doing? Guide them through this experience. Guide them through this modality of different technologies that you're bringing together so that it offers them this ability to start shifting in this new direction.
So in a way, most of what I offer is experiential. And so oftentimes what I'm intending to do, especially with having our program that we're doing right now, is make it so that these are all principles that I want my clients, my patients to more fully understand before I even see them the first time.
It's wonderful. I love this.
That way there's a level of, do I even resonate with this? If I do, if I don't, whatever it is that it's like I'm looking for what can support people, not looking for what's wrong with them, but what is the thing that is blocking them from having the life that they deserve to have the life that is, it's meant to be full. It's meant to be.
Yes, I'm actually, okay, it's meant to be full. So what I was just thinking is I'm hearing you. You want to teach them to ride a bike? The tools and technology are just training wheels, but they've got to be able to do this in life without the training wheels.
Right. So it's like all I'm going to do is make it so that I introduce, in a way, principles that makes it so that basic physiology can be supported, so that your health is already much more capable of, like it is with a baby. There's like, they need certain things and it needs to be consistent, but not a lot. They don't need a lot of high-tech anything. It's like they'll exist and do very well anywhere on the planet if you do the basics of life. Does that make sense? We are like little babies. We just forget that we have the same physiology. It's just that we've had much more time to mess it up.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Very true.
Yes.
And so what we look at is the basics in a very much of a, what is nature teaching us? What is it that we're not naturally enhancing or doing or supporting or embracing? And what can we do to make it so that you're more conscious of those things and consistent on your own, so that you then start to have better questions and that you can have a routine to where you're kind of doing a check-in on your own. Like an AM, PM routine. First thing in the morning before I get out of bed, before you even think about like having a prayer, it's like as you're waking up to engage in a routine that you can kind of go through and feed yourself, fill your cup. It's almost like we need to make it so that there's a priority of us first. Remember how I said is that oftentimes culturally that's been, let's say, frowned upon. We would say, oh, that's very narcissistic to take care of yourself. And it's like you have to. It's like as adults, learning how to make yourself a priority makes it so that you can be altruistic and be the mom that you want to love on all your kids when you take care of you first. So it's the same thing they tell us in the airport. It's like, oxygen mask drops down. What do? You put it on your kid first? No, you know what I mean? So you got to take care of yourself first. That way you can be capable, strong, able to do things when it's uncomfortable for everybody else and they would struggle, is doing the mom thing or playing the role of, the role that we play is. Oftentimes when we make declarations of the I am, that there's like that actually limits us, because the I am is in your conscious right now. It has limitations. If someone else hears that or says that, they have a different perception of the same words. So because we're in a way stuck with our definition of I am fill in the blank, then in a way we become stuck in I can't do that on whatever follows the I am statement. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
So,
and one thing, if I may, I love what you're saying. One of the I'm always the type of person of I say to myself, suck it up, buttercup. I can get through anything. I don't want to be dependent upon anybody. I don't want to. Whenever I'm struggling or like I'm broken right now, one of the reasons why I don't ever reach out for help is because I don't want to become dependent upon medicine. I don't want to become dependent upon whatever. And what you're telling me is you're teaching me tools where I can depend upon myself
entirely. That's
to
entirely
help
it.
heal myself
That's it.
through what you're going to teach me. And I love that, and that resonates with me. So I wanted to share that.
Thank you. And and that's the thing that we're not taught. We're not taught tools. If you think about some of the things that we're going to be going over the next few days, is that we're not taught any of these things in school. And I wish that we had a curriculum where it's that, okay, let's actually talk about how we can much more capably manage our thoughts. How do we manage our emotions? How do we then kind of really determine, how do I want to create my day? That literally is that we don't talk about, like, you literally are creators. We're all creators. How is it that we want the day to end? Well, there's an outcome. That's the equal sign. Variables, 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 multiplied across. How do I want my day to be? How do I want it to feel? And once we ask different questions before we get out of bed, you can, in a way, participate in creating a tone that you can be in charge of, and they can have a variety of actions and activities. And if you start going off, off course of not feeling, then you can slow up, take a breath, and notice what's going on. We call it notice what you're noticing. Just slow up.
You want to know what's funny is I'm getting anxiety of thinking of slowing down and trying to focus. Completely honest with you. I'm like, I can't sit in bed and focus.
I have no time for that.
I felt that in me, and I'm like, what?
And that's one of the things that I like doing is teaching people that there's ways to train your nervous system. The ways to train, and it's either by repetition or by immersion. So that's why it's like, if you do a week-long, retreat somewhere and that's their purpose, then there's individuals that will come back and be like, my life is different. I was around people with the same intention for 7 days straight, and it's just like, and we just ate and slept, and we all the actions, activities supported shifts, and we supported each other. So it's like, that's one way, is you can do kind of immersion type things, or making it so that there's repetition of, okay, now it's like I literally have a program. So a program, you think of it, it wasn't there at birth, and somehow it's been put into us through observance. So we see, hear, and then, in a way we kind of just like go, that's how it's got to be. And so we absorb the program. If we want to upgrade it, it's like the coolest thing is you can always upgrade your hardware. So this is your hardware, you know what I mean? And so, and as I talk about the three brains, it's like every part is like all three have hardware. There's hardware we want to make sure that if there's like some damage to the hardware, and there can be, so it's like by how we've taken care of our gut, how we've taken care of our heart, how we've taken care of our brain, is that sometimes I end up doing stability work, so making it so the brain can be possibly capable of accuracy. So if there's inflammation, there's things that we're doing that are actions that we need to go and actually reverse, then we need to do restorative stabilizing on the three brains, on the hardware. Software is how you think and how you use the hardware. Does that make sense? And that's a part of what I'm describing right now, is like, if you don't like that, then we can totally do upgrades. And it's just a matter of making it a priority. And that's a part of what I like to do, is more of a program like a 3-month program where it's once a week, and it's like homework. So there's literally, you can do, and I want you to, every day in those 12 weeks doing something, but then we would have a kind of a meeting together, accountability, whatever that looks like, of let's actually fine tune and make sure that we're all on board on the same intention, so that there's a tendency with your unconscious to reject everything I'm talking about. The anxiety comes with the, oh no, change makes it so I'm gonna die. And it's just like, and that's the thing, is that there's a tendency, if doing it on your own, most of the time I find that people will share, 90 some odd % in my opinion, will actually have kind of a breakdown at the critical time. They don't continue through the most pressurized, the ability to make the change. It's almost gonna happen, and then your nervous system says, no, last resort, pull back, pull back, pull back. and so it's like, okay, I don't want to die. And then it's like you change your behavior, and you're like, it's like pulling up in an airplane. Oh man, that was close. We almost like landed. And it's like nope, I don't want to land. It's like, as long as I'm up in the air, I'm away from the ground. And it's like, and so as you're getting down to where if you are going to land, then there's a part of the beep, 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 beep. It's like, the altimeter is going off, the ground is right there. But if your intention is to land, you need to have that, because you got to have your wheels down. You got to be, decelerate, and then landing is a beautiful thing, because it's like you only have so much gas. You can't be up there forever, otherwise you will fall out of the sky. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I think one of the things is that, and I may do a little bit more over there anyway, because I want to make sure that as I'm explaining that we can actually do, that we can apply everything in the moment, because a lot of what we're going to be doing is going to be neurofeedback, and it's going to be, in a way, engaging your nervous system on the hardware. We want to make sure hardware is good, where it can be that there's an on and off, there's an engagement and disengagement with your nervous system. So there's two different, let's say, realms. Autonomic nervous system is automatic. Automatic all the time is going on to keep you alive. And so there's a level of, do I want to digest this food? Well, that's a different nervous system. That's a subcategory in this autonomic nervous system that makes it so it's rest, digest, sleep, or sleep is resting. So rest, digest, create, and heal. Okay? So that's the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite, and they're proportional. So there's only 100% that's capable. So it's either 50-50 or 90-10 or whatever it is. It's going back and forth. So the sympathetic nervous system is what we have been told is the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So it has to do with one of those four things is going to happen if we're stuck in sympathetic. And it's like there's a functional sympathetic that is just great, but it's when we're stuck that is engaged and it's like it's not disengaged. That's the problem, and that's what you two are having. So it's like you're both sympathetic dominant right now. So it's like with that, your nervous system doesn't allow you to really rest and heal, digest, and make a new body. You're not creative right now. So as business owners, you're not in your mojo. So it's like you have a harder time making good decisions, and you will second guess yourself frequently, because in fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, it's like it literally is at any moment, oh crap, oh, I don't know if I was doing the right thing. And second guessing isn't how you have production. It isn't how you have, if you're talking about only making money, you don't want to ever be in fight or flight making a big financial decision. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Because your intuition is nil. So fight or flight makes it so that we get stuck typically in our head, where the three brains need to be concurrent and synergistic and actually supporting each other. When you own that, then we become, in a way, the foundation for everyone else to just, they engage and they look at how you are, and you teach them through who you are. That's really what we're trying to accomplish. Health will come. It's automatic after that. Much more is when our life is congruent with our health, that life-health connection. People have come to me in the past with health issues, and I did not have the training to be able to do any of this stuff that I've been basically talking about. I have spent a lot of time doing different certifications and things like that have to do with being in like life guide. That's what I am right now, is doing a lot of life guiding. Is that I'm spending more time with that role. That's my role, is going, okay, I'm a natural healing physician, but that only takes us so far. If I can help people by guiding them in their life, by making congruent decisions where this can come together, then it is that my role is currently is guiding people. And so in that way, whatever that looks like, a person can, engage with that direction a little bit, none at all, a whole bunch. And it's just like, my job is to, in a way, go, this is where I have seen, and as a guide would be if we went to Africa, it's like, this is where you'll have probably more safe. I'm not guaranteeing safety, but it'll be more safe here. And if we want to go see the giraffes, they're pretty much over here. But it's like today, they're grazing all the time. They're all over the place. But it's like, we'll probably more likely, does that make sense? Yes. So as a guide, it's that these are principles that it's like, if we do this, the having you have an amazing, let's say, safari experience. Imagine that your life is like a safari experience, and it's wild animals, and I don't want to die and all this other stuff, but I want to have, I want to have fun and see things that are totally unique. So your life is full of experiences. I want you to actually think of it as like, this is my safari. This is a game. It's all the things that almost in a way gamify it, because we take way too much too serious.
Awesome. All right. Well, I am just gonna, I want to just share with you one final quick story of my own life, hopefully to instill some hope that things can significantly change, both with you're seeing that, yes, we're going to learn about these really cool lasers, right? But it's really a fraction of what Dr. Troy Graf does. And you're going to see that it really is teaching you how to live the most expansive, most amazing, most joy-filled life. And yes, this technology can help balance out things, and he's going to share when we get over there what this is all about, and you're going to experience it. But it's also to help you to have this long term. This isn't just a short term plan, right? So I'm going to just explain to you, about a decade ago, I lived your life. This was my life. Couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, allergic to everything. My body was rejecting food, right? Had no energy, chronically fatigued, chronically reactive, always going, always on, never off. There was one moment in my life, and I remember this vividly as the turning point in my life. It was about 2:00 in the morning, couldn't sleep once again, and my body said, run. Thank goodness it was a June day and it was okay weather outside, but I wasn't going to run on the road, so I went in the backyard, and me and my 2 dogs ran in laps and laps and laps and laps, and I couldn't stop. My body had to run, had to run, had to run, had to run. Finally, my lungs gave out, said, you're not doing this anymore, and I collapsed on my back. And I remember looking at the moon and saying, I am living a nightmare I cannot wake up from. And I heard my intuition in that moment say, one day you will look back and realize this is the greatest blessing and the greatest turnaround of your life. Because that's when I started to branch out and say, okay, I can't do life like this anymore. I've got to dip my toe into something different that I haven't done. I got on my knees somehow, or my back, and I pleaded for help. And then the answers started showing up. You've asked, and now they're being delivered. And now you get the opportunity. And now I am living a life that I pinch myself every day and go, this is my life. I look at the mirror and I go, that's my best friend. I love her so much. She's so amazing. And she's kind of crazy sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, she is. And I love that crazy version too. And I have so much abundance in my life in every aspect. My health is back. I have vitality. I have regulation. I have deep connections. I have deep relationships. I have this that I do that gives me great fulfillment. I get to showcase incredible experts like Dr. Troy Graf that have some of the answers that people are looking for. I want you to know that your life changes now. Today is the day that you get to choose Charlie. And Troy is going to help guide you and I get to be your cheerleader. Okay? Can I be your cheerleader?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. All right.
You're an awesome cheerleader.